Hello, this is Michelle at East Ave Art, and today I'm going to show you how I did this fun little pumpkin illustration, and I ended up turning it into a little greeting card. So I started by mixing up a bunch of different oranges. I wanted to have many different colors. I thought that would be fun and playful, and I taped off on my Arches watercolor paper using washi tape the area where I'm going to write pumpkin patch, and then I taped off sort of the area that I wanted the card to be, and I think I did this like maybe 5 by 7. And I chose my Arches watercolor pad for this because Arches is a really absorbent paper. It's 100% cotton, and it's really great to get blends because the paper stays wetter for longer. So I just kind of decided to just go for it. I didn't really plan this out too much. I just, painted little like lumpy pumpkins, and I alternated the colors, but you can see I liked getting the pumpkins to touch each other so I could get some of the color bleed. I just think that's like a really fun effect. So as I mentioned, I think this is a fun project to learn a little bit about color bleeds and see how much water to paint ratio you need on your brush to get the bleed you want. So I'm liking the bleeds that I'm getting between the different pumpkin colors that I have. And I went in here with like the pumpkin stem color, which is kind of a greenish brown, as you can see. And I was trying to sort of decide how much I wanted it to blend and how much I wanted it to be fuzzy. And on this second stem, I really didn't like what I ended up with. So you can see how I tried to fix it. So I pulled up the paint with a clean brush, a clean damp brush, and I'm going to let that dry a little bit longer, and you'll and move on to painting some other pumpkins, and then you'll kind of see how I fix that. So again, I'm like trying to decide, gee, that's too much of a blend, and you can see I took a little bit of paper towel and I sopped it up, and then I dropped in a little bit more of the orange color to cover up some of that stem color. For the remainder of the pumpkins in this section, I decided to let each of the pumpkins pretty much dry before I tried to put the stem color on there. I just decided it was a little bit too delicate, and I didn't really quite like the bleeding action that I was getting. So I thought I'll just go ahead and keep my color blends to the pumpkin colors rather than trying to mess around with that stem color bleeding in as well. Okay, so I finished the top set of pumpkins, and I'm going to move on to the bottom half of the paintings and follow the same process that I established on that top half. So I'm taking a little bit of a break from the bottom half and going back to the top half of my card, and I'm adding in the stems, as I think that my pumpkins have dried a little bit, relatively enough, where I can add the stem and I'm not going to get like an out of control bleed. And at this point, I wanted to finish out painting all of the pumpkins on the card. So I did mostly the big pumpkins first, and then I added a couple of little pumpkins in spaces where I didn't, I had some kind of blank space that I thought was too much blank space. At this point, I decided I wanted to fix up the stem on that initial pumpkin that I was pretty unhappy with how much it bled. So you can see I went back and fixed that up once that was dry, and I kind of continued to add stems to the pumpkins that needed it. Once some of the pumpkins had dried, I felt like they looked a little dull, so for a few of them I did add an extra layer of paint, as you see me doing here. So once all of my pumpkins have dried, I'm going to remove that center washi tape. And I think there was a few pumpkins that I added a little bit more to on the bottom there. And then I sketched in pencil, obviously, pumpkin patch. I usually like to write in pencil first before I go in with the pen. And I use my Pigma Micron to go over my cursive initial sketch in pencil for pumpkin patch. I like to create sort of a faux calligraphy look. So once I write out everything in cursive, I then think about every time my pen went towards me as I was writing, it's considered a downstroke, and that's what you want to thicken, as you see me doing here, to create that sort of like faux calligraphy look. Once I finished the writing, I did add a little bit to that one pumpkin in the center just to give it, a top, because I think it looked a little bit better. And then I went in with my Pigma Micron pen again, and I drew around sort of these messy, sketchy lines, and I really liked that effect. And then eventually I digitized my art, and I decided to play around with the penmanship. I drew in my Apple iPad in the Procreate app this lettering that's a little bit, I think, more appropriate in terms of the color. And I sort of created a card out of my sketch, and I really enjoyed what the outcome was. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope you learned something and that you enjoyed it.